disperse. This is a great picture. I wish I could grow something like this. Actually, I should probably ask the mycologist. So here shows you really what you should see when you see when you think of a fungus. It's mostly underground in threads, like that. When it's time to reproduce, at the edges they put these things up, and then that's how they reproduce in that way. Here are some smaller fruiting bodies coming up. So at some point, the spore was here. It then started to divide, got these hyphae into mycelium, and that's essentially how they exist, as threads in the ground, just digesting as they go. And if they're in a medium where the nutrients are equally dispersed, they'll grow in this characteristic circle, right? You ever seen mold growing on bread? It starts out in a circle. Well, that's because all the nutrients on a piece of bread are equally distributed, so it goes out in equal directions. If you ever go looking for mushrooms, you'll find clumps of them. And that's because what they're doing is the mycelium are just going where the food is. They're not going in equal directions. And then when it's time to reproduce, they just send up the bundle on the edge of it. I'll be back to that. Thank you. So they're major decomposers, right? They live in the ground. When something dies, where does its body go? To the ground, right? Nothing's flying away. It goes to the ground. What a great way to live. Living off things that are dead, and they go to the ground. Think of how many leaves fall every year. Where do they go? Besides when you throw them over into your neighbor's backyard. Where do they go? Right? No, they get decomposed. Also think of all the twigs and branches that fall. And then here's another thing too. Think of all the poop in the world. Right? Where does that go? It doesn't go down the toilet, right? Maybe it does in yours. But for most of the world, it goes on the ground. Thank goodness fungus are there. Right? That's what there's still energy, a lot of energy left over. And then also, of course, dead bodies. Now, of course, bacteria are there as well, too, and that'll play a role. Bacteria and fungus are responsible for all of that, bringing those nutrients back into the ecosystems. They take the energy out, they break it down, and so other organisms can use it too. Right? Nutrients are recycled over and over. With one thing, right? Energy is one way, nutrients are recycled in ecosystems. It plays a huge role when we look at ecosystems. So these are time lapse, of course.
Is this the start of the next exam? But the lab for this is going to be a requirement.
So saprotroph, it's a new ecological word for you, right? They feed on nourishment or decaying organic matter. With bacteria, they're decomposing everything. And that's a huge part of an ecosystem because those nutrients need to go back into the cycle. These guys play a major role on it. That's essentially what we've been talking about. Yeah, did the same thing. So next time your roommate leaves that moldy stuff in there, you can just go, great, thanks. I wanted to see that. But a major role, right? Decomposing things.
Bless you.
Here's another, right, view. This is in the soil, the hyphae growing in the soil. This is typically what you see. And the mycelium as well. Does anyone get the cultural reference? Nobody?
Mm-hmm. Is his name Hyphy?
I'm too old. You ever heard of the hyphae movement in Oakland? Bay Area?
Who is he?
That's one of the guys who originated. Anyway,
No,
I think we've already talked about this too. I don't know why it was called hyphae. Does anyone know?
Is it like hype?
I think a big thing is the music was kind of crazy. They were the originators of the dreads. They would shake their head. You'd see them. See them they'd shake their head. They'd shake their dreads. Okay, I'm gonna have to play you a song.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna play you a song. Okay.
All right.
Listerine
I need him to
strips?
say lady.
No.
Lady.
Man, I thought Stockton was hip. No.
Or get up?
How much anime is it?
20 years ago.
Yeah, definitely you're
Where
not.
will you
Okay.
go?
Bro, you should get dressed.
So here's a mycelial,
ladies.
mycelial mat, right? Yeah, you can see growing up in the barn, fruiting bodies. Now, one thing that's most species, they have cell walls, but they're not made out of the same material that plants are. So that's why they have this form that's plant-like, because every cell has a cell wall around it, right? It makes them, they're not gooey like animals are, right? We're gushy. And so a lot of their cells too, though, have these septa in between them, where they can exchange intercellular components. So what are they made out of? The cell walls are made out of what's called chitin. Now, where do you recognize chitin from as well? Any zoology students here?
It's for you, right?
Right, the exoskeletons of insects are made out of chitin. Right? It's a very tough, indigestible material.
I want to do a little beauty.
Oh, we'll just put it right there. You have to know what an arthropod is now.
I think I remember.
Anyone take zoology? I'm gonna attack zoology.
I guess I'm not gonna.
It's past, it's past, we're past that.
Yeah.
You pass that?
Yeah.
So what is an arthropod? Name some
I
groups.
forgot.
Arthropod?
Classes
Oh.
Crustacea.
You forgot
Arthropoda.
about
Crustacea.
Okay, give me one. One.
Classes like that.
Insecta, okay.
Can we go into the orders now?
No, not the orders of insects.
Arthropods, are they the hard
Crustacean.
ones, hard exoskeletons?
Crustaceans.
Oh, Malacus draca.
That's
Oh.
that's
Okay.
That's like lobster, I think. What was the one for spiders?
I'm only doing this because I'm doing
Arachnida?
Oh, arachnida. Wait, but
Arachnids, very good.
oh, but there's one above that.
There was
Because it's arachnida.
Asteracia?
Wait.
Oh no, it's arachnida. No, it's arachnida because then it breaks down. Into
Okay, what we're
scorpions
gonna
and
do now then is get out a pencil. And we're gonna have a quiz.
No.
stuff. Oh no. Wait, for real?
Wait, like, is this a
Wait,
great?
for real?
It's April 1st.
Oh, it's April, it is April 1st. Yeah.
April Fools.
Scary.
okay, because I was like, wait, I was like, I don't remember my finals, my classes.
We just had the exam. I'm trying to.
Would you
All
read
right,
the joke?
let's get back.
Give me a week.
So, looking right here, the three major we know now though that archaea, that eukaryotes have been sunk into archaea. There's only two. It's relatively recent. But when you look at this branch here within the eukarya, right? This then, of course, you have two major groups: the unicons and the licons. And animals, fungi, and these things called mesozoans are unicons. Everything else, plants, right, and all these other things are licons. And a major physical, it's conferred by DNA, but another physical thing is, remember I told you about the flagella?
Mm-hmm.
So the flagella, if they have an independent cell that swims, the licons have two flagella. And then they move like a propeller, like a helicopter. And it propels the cell that way. The unicons, right, they have one flagella and it pushes them rather than pulls them. You're familiar with that with animal sperm look like that. Well, the spores in some aquatic fungi also look like that too. There's more than 4 groups, but we're just going to look at these. There are also, one thing about the fungus is they are very paraphyletic. So you have the chytrids, which are typically the water, right? And there are also a lot of single-celled ones. So this is single-cell chytrids that's putting its digestive juices into this single-cell photosynthetic thing. Getting the back, the zygomyceti, Ascomycetes, and the obsidian mycetes. I'll show you all of these. They're also medically and economically as pests, pathogens, also some useful chemicals. They can grow under a wide range of conditions. Some can actually attack meat in cold storage. They got to be in there a long time. Right? And then, how many people have heard of coccidioides? What these are is valley fever. Has anyone heard of valley fever?
We did this.
Nobody's heard of valley fever. Okay, good.
Yes, we did.
You need to know.
No, we didn't.
This
You
is a
mentioned it.
fungus that has spores. It's native to the southwest in a lot of the deserts. And so deserts don't sound very fungally, do they? Dry, right? Warm, or hot.
talking about
But for a short period, they are wet and warm, right? Usually in the springtime. Right around here is when you, these things will then rapidly reproduce and put out their spores. The spores then, when it dries up, they spore up into the dust. And if you get that dust in the air, then you can inhale some of these spores. These three are naturally occur in the soil, but they don't want to live in you. But when you inhale them, right, it's dark, it's wet, it's warm, they start growing. And this is known as valley fever. A lot of they go and infect the lungs. These are coccidiomycosis cases. Used to just be down here. By the way, valley comes from, it was first isolated out of the San Joaquin Valley. Yay, we know. And so they're now found all over because of people, right, traveling around carrying spores. Where there's really nothing that's kind of isolated anymore. They used to be confined to like farm workers and hey, farm workers day yesterday, right? Farm workers, military, because wherever there's and construction workers, wherever there's dust stirred up in these southwestern areas. But now, like I said, they're all over. Still highly concentrated, right? Here's San Joaquin Valley. Still concentrated in the southwest. So just keep an eye on that. I think the cases are increasing. It's called valley fever. That's idiomycosis. For all you pre-meds out there.
Dr. Hazelwig.
Getting back to, remember we were talking about how the mycelium grow equal directions. If you get a spore that lands on a lawn that's well manicured, all the nutrients, right, are equally dispersed like a piece of bread. You might get what's called a fairy ring. Has anyone ever heard of those? Mm-hmm. They are only on lawns because of that. Right? You can have the same mushroom or the same fungus in in the forest, but you'll get little clumps here and there. But here, since everything's equal, it just grows in a circle. Then when it's time to reproduce, they set up the fruiting bodies on the edges, just like that petri dish I showed you. But really, we found out that at night, this is what happens. They need a place to sit. April Fool.
I fell for that one, bro.
No.
But in the old days, of course, because these would like appear overnight. And so, of course, mimically.
Draw it. That's exactly.
Just killed me. I'm looking at
you can find them though. If you ever find a clump of mushrooms, step back, look, and a lot of times you'll see like a semicircle or some remnants of a circle, because now you know, right? So here, if you just look at that, you think, oh, it's a mushroom, but you can kind of see. Also, sometimes in the middle, the nutrients are depleted for the plants. Sometimes, right? Yeah.
Wait, so like when we kick mushrooms to kill them, or I don't know if that's even.
You're not killing them. You're spreading the spores.
Okay, there you go. That's what I was wondering.
So it's too late once those come out. Right? Actually, depending on the species, but we'll see.
The white one.
Yeah, you're not killing anything. Where is the main body of the mushroom?
Underground.
It's underground, mycelium. These are just temporary for reproduction. Well, it depends on the species, right? They could be microscopic where it's hard to see.
Wait, so what?
Yeah, what?
Sorry, when they just like randomly pop up on my lawn, like. That's
It's
just
not
a
randomly,
spore?
well, what could be random is the spore landed
It
there.
just
So
lands.
you originally had a spore, it started growing, right? And then when it's time to reproduce, they put up their fruiting bodies.
Okay.
And that's not random, a lot of times conditions have to be right, usually it's wet,
Oh.
right, when they do that. So remember, they have spores in there, they need to be dispersed. And so that's the time.
Is it mycelium?
Remember, they're haploid.
You eat them or see them?
So of course, we've already kind of done this, so we've got a lot of food derived from fungal products, fungal organisms, right? And essentially, you can see how these are accidentally discovered. You leave something out, it starts to rot, you're like, hey, this tastes good. Right? And so, what's the blue in blue cheese?
Mold.
It's mold, right? And of course, whenever you have bread that's rising, you need to put what in it? What is yeast?
Is it mold?
It's a fungus, yeah, it's a fungus. It's actually single cell fungi.
infection.
You're deliberately inoculating it with an organism. And of course, what makes it rise are pockets of CO2, right? And then also alcohol. What happens to the alcohol when you make bread? It goes off, right? That's what's called leavened bread, as opposed to unleavened. What's unleavened? You don't let it rise, and you don't add yeast. You just cook it like a tortilla or flatbread, right? To let this happen, what do you have to do? You have to let it rot, right? And so it rises. The blue in cheese is actually mold, right? It is deliberately a mold, though, that they cultivate and they keep alive. And then they will add it to get that flavor. And as you know, you either love or hate blue cheese because it has that pungent taste. Some people are like, yeah, this is great, so yeah, right? If you've never had blue cheese,
No,
well,
no.
I brought you some blue cheese.
Wait, can I eat it?
You can look at the blue under the microscope here, it's pretty cool, it's fungus, and you'll see the spores.
I don't think you'll want to eat it again.
I don't think.
And if you want, I have crackers and blue cheese.
Yeah, I want the spores in my stomach.
You cannot eat the crackers without cheese though, no cheating.
Oh.
Okay.
And crackers,
We're
by
trying,
the way,
we're
are
all
what?
trying.
Let's be
it.
big
They're
kids.
unleavened,
I've never, no.
right?
Well, I think it's been in some salads, but like I
Well,
haven't
you're also
eaten
the
it.
type to eat like 8 boiled eggs and only one goes
What?
He says he
Of
likes
course,
blue
we already
cheese,
did
but
this,
he's also the
grapes,
type to eat both boiled eggs.
Tequila, beer, right, this whole
You don't eat boiled eggs?
He like
have you ever heard of truffles? Truffles are, if you're a foodie, you know, these are big
These are good.
component sauces.
It wasn't
They're
bad.
worth their weight in gold, a lot of species, per ounce. They are very rare. One thing about them is they grow underground. They are a fruiting body, but they don't come to the surface. They have a different strategy. Why would you think they're so pungent? So they could be smelled and dug up by pigs and by squirrels and other things that do that. And so in the old days, they don't do this anymore, but in the old days, they would take, these are the ones in France that are highly sought after. You'd take a pig out to the oak forest, because they're specific to oak trees. And they can smell them up to 3 meters underground.
Oh, wow.
Hopefully you don't have to dig that far. And they smell them, and you pull the pig away and you dig it up and you get your truffle. Now you might have heard of chocolate truffles. They look like that, don't they? Well, they're just trying to imitate the real thing. That's the real thing.
Wait, so,
Chocolate truffle is the
so the chocolate truffle tastes like it?
Next time someone gives you chocolate, say, rip off, I know what a truffle is.
I'm gonna use that sort of thing.
Now, some of you who come from Central America, or your family might come, you might be familiar with this. Does anybody have this? Lacoche,
True
right?
Mexican.
You've had it? Or you've heard of it? Yeah. This same thing. It's an acquired taste. So up here in Kansas, we'd look at this and go, it's ruined, right? But it's actually a fungus that infects the grains, and it is very pungent as well. So you don't like it. You can get tacos from this. You've probably heard of joggage, athlete's foot, yeast infections, right? Why association with athletes? Well, that's because where do they go after they work out? They go where it's dark, wet, and warm, which is the showers, right? And so also communal. All it takes is one person to have it. That's why they're associated with athletes. Someone could have it now, but what are the chances of
Bro,
spreading?
it's eczema, bro.
You
Zero.
stinky.
What is
It's
this?
eczema.
Ringworm.
Ringworm. Is it a worm?
No.
No. Good. You're caught on. It is a fungus. Here you go. You see your telltale circular, right, growth. Because the mycelium, though, here are growing in your skin. They're eating you alive. Same thing if you've ever had athlete's foot. Athlete's foot,
Why do you keep
itching,
looking at me?
burning, because you're being digested by mycelium. Right?
So this is ring
Yeah.
Thrush occurs in a
Need
lot of
medicine?
rest homes and a
Need
lot
medicine?
of daycares. It is a fungal infection, right? The mouth is dark, wet, and warm. Potentially can be spread that way. Toenail fungus, right? Now you know if you've ever heard of someone who has toenail fungus, they can't put a topical on. Now you know, right? The mycelium are actually in the cuticle underneath. And while as this grows, what you're seeing is partially digested keratin, right? Or is it keratin?
You could just rip it out.
No, toenails are made out
Collagen?
of.
No. Carrot?
I think they are
Have you
keratin.
had it?
Huh?
Have you had it?
So they're
Sounds like
digesting.
you're speaking from experience, please.
I just had a
Does anybody have toenail fungus here?
Okay, guys, why are you guys looking at me, bro?
You haven't?
No, I don't.
You told me you haven't.
What?
They're
How
bullying
much,
me,
for
actually.
extra credit, how much would you?
Oh, I
Tell
don't.
Tyler, bro.
I don't. I swear to God, I don't.
Okay, leave him alone.
Oh, I didn't
All right,
bully
now
you,
getting back.
You guys are assholes.
Remember the ecological relationship between fungus and bacteria. They're all decomposers. Well, it turns out that sometimes bacteria can attack and eat fungus when they're in there, or they're competing for the same stuff. So what has happened is a lot of fungus produce toxins, and they're usually defensive, so they'll kill bacteria. You've all heard of penicillin? What is that? It's an antibiotic. What does an antibiotic attack?
Bacteria?
Bacteria. And they specifically, the toxin's fantastic because it ignores eukaryotic cells. It ignores them. It just goes after bacteria. It has something to do with the cell wall or something like that. So as you can imagine, when this was discovered, which it was discovered by someone taking a second look, like in the 20s, they were growing staphylococcus, and strep. Nasty,
What is it?
right? Those are nasty for especially staph. You could die from a scratch in the old days. In fact, during wars, you could be wounded and then die from infection. Right? And so this was a scientist in England who was looking at staphylococcus, and he noticed that there was a mold that contaminated one of his petri dishes. And he's looking at it, and he noticed that there was this dent somewhere of bacteria. None of the bacteria were growing. Wow. And so that's where we got penicillin from initially. Then, of course, they started looking at other molds, looking at different antibiotics. You notice they all have different names and things like that. Just different species of things. And so most fungi, are you going to go out there and just eat any mushroom? No, you know that, right? a lot of them are either straight up toxic, or they're distasteful, or they can be hallucinogenic, right? Now, if you're an organism, do you want your senses altered? If you're, say, a rabbit or a deer? No, you rely on those senses for survival, right? And so this is something that evolved to deter herbivores, right? You can imagine if, you know, if you're a deer and you're stoned, you're dead, right? The coyote's gonna come by and go, look at the thing that's sitting on a log laughing, right? Which is interesting though, because it opens up another question: why do humans deliberately take these to alter their senses? It's dangerous, right? That's what evolved. But they've been doing it for a long time. It's really been usually for ritualistic purposes.
I just was listening to
Psilocybin is the active ingredient in a lot of these species. It's, that does that.
Hallucinogen from fungus.
Hallucinogen. And that is, by the way, who had sacred datura? Datura right now. No one had datura?
Wait, righty eye?
Yeah.
Wait, not you? The
You
true
don't
righty
remember
eye?
your species?
Yeah, yeah, babe.
Oh, okay.
No, sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. All right. So fungi can reproduce asexually. A spore can just germinate, right? It can also reproduce sexually, though. It can do both. Usually they reproduce sexually when two different mycelium strains meet each other in the ground. They'll actually then merge together because they're both haploid, right? The mycelium will actually then merge and get a diploid, and then that diploid will undergo meiosis and then get a new strain. So they are sexually reproducing. They can do both usually. Now, if you've ever been in your backyard and you've seen what looks like hair on the dog poop, right? That is not. These are microscopically, it's pilobillus. These are really pretty cool because they can then, they make these structures with the spores inside of them, and essentially they bend towards where the light is, and they can hurl these away pretty far. So I think we already did that, right? Let's see about it. Here then is another phylogeny. Here you can see there's the animals up there, right? This branch right here are the fungi. And what does this cone mean? No resolution, right? It's hard to tell. And there is resolution right here with these two groups, so we know that pretty easy. But the rest within the fungi are clearly monophyletic, but within the fungi, there's a lot of unresolved issues here. So the chytrid funguses I told you, there's mostly these are kind of known as the water fungi. I don't know if you've ever had an aquarium and something dies in there and it gets furry. You ever seen that? Yeah. Those are probably chytrid fungus. Remember, they have the spores that swim like sperm. And so, like when your fish dies, right, they're going to feed eat it. There are some chytrids that are parasitic. Now, another chytrid fungus. Has everyone heard of amphibian declines? Worldwide amphibian declines? This has been going on for like 30 years. They first discovered it when they would arrive to a very remote place and find just dead frogs. This is not staged. They come to biologists who are, this is one of the reasons why ecology is such a big deal in field studies. Here they are monitoring this place every year. They find this, right? All the frogs have died. And This is a new species of chytrid. And what it does is it lives on the skin. It's Batrachochytrium dendrobatidis, or BD for short. And major populations in the Sierra Nevada of frogs have been wiped out by it. A lot of remote areas in Central America. I don't know if you've ever heard of the golden toad, kind of a popular toad because it's just bright yellow, beautiful. For all we know, they've been wiped out by chytrid. And these are in remote areas. And this is a major decline of vertebrates. And so trying to figure out getting groups of resistant, not all species are subjected to it. What they do is essentially it screws up because a lot of amphibians breathe through their skin, and the scarring or wherever they grow on there prevents them from getting the oxygen gas exchange. So remember our life cycles here again, right? So this then, you have your sporangium. There they are swimming, right, like sperm. They then will start to bud out with their mycelium. Remember, these are all haploid. And then you have your gametes. I don't know why they're calling these male and female, I guess, because they're both swimming and they're both leading. But technically they're not male or female because they're both leading the original. They merge, you get your sporophyte that then it can also put zoospores, right? And it continues. These will then put out 2N. All the 2N spores are in here, meiosis occurs. This yellow is not 2N. So these fungi, the black mold, bread mold, if you've ever seen this, we have these on display as well too. So spores, asexual reproduction, right? Then these are the plus or minus, right? Because they really, they just merge right here. There's no gametes at all. Instead, what happens is you have the hyphae then meet together, and then they will then produce a zygosporangium, a zygote. Right? Then that zygote will immediately go under meiosis, and it repeats itself. So that's what it looks like. You have these two strains that have been merged, and they then produce that zygote. Then the ascomycetes, these are also known as the cup fungi. The reason why they're called cup fungi is their fruiting bodies are open and all the spores are up on top like that. It's just a feature, right? And so it's called the ascocarp. So all of their spore producing are up here on top. These are all the, here's one type of strain and here's another type. You know, neither male nor female, they just are different and they merge together. Don't worry, you don't have to memorize these things, just the generalized, you know, how they spend most of their life as multicellular threads that are haploid, right? Penicillin is Ascomycetes, very common. We have some for you to look at today, in 2 forms. Then the last group, the Basidiomycetes, also known as the club fungi, and I'll show you why they're called club fungi. And the same type of thing, right? You have, these are the fruiting bodies that come out at the end, right? And then they produce the spores. Spores then are dispersed out. these are typically what you think of a mushroom, right? That's what you're thinking of is the Basidium mycon. So the reason they're called that, if you look at the cross section of a gill of a mushroom, right? You know what I'm talking about with the gills? Was there a diagram of that?
That's lost. I don't understand you get up there.
So when you see a mushroom, like an umbrella, it opens up. Underneath, they have what are called gills. Right? They call that because they look like fish gills. You'll have a chance to look at it today. And remember, these go up, and then the spores are produced in bundles. What look like little clubs. That's where they get their name. Right? And the spores are produced within. So this is one of the strands right here of the. This is a cross section. These are the spore producing clubs right here. If you look at them up closely, right, they're produced on those. That's what you're going to look at it. So these have all kinds of mechanism for dispersing their spores. If you've ever heard of puffballs, maybe you've seen them. They are enclosed, and then if something steps on them or eats them, it's just spores are like everywhere. It's like dust almost, like a little bomb. Yeah.
Like the ones that look little soft moss balls.
They look like mothballs, or they look like golf balls, right? They're white.
Are they usually like in like damp areas or?
Yeah. Well,
Okay, yeah, I probably have seen this before a good amount of times.
And then all kinds of really cool stuff. Some of them will will rot on their own. They'll just decompose. So nothing is eating them. They actually will just start to decompose, and they stink, and they're attracting flies. Flies come, walk around on them, get their spores on them, and then go somewhere else and spread. Spores are everywhere, people. These are cool bird nest fungus. So what happens here is these carry a bunch of spores. The drops of water hit it, and that's how they disperse. You also have some rusts and some smuts. These are growing inside the plant tissue. When they're ready to reproduce, they send out these things. You have the shelf fungi as well. So how some of these things then will, they'll have primary hosts, secondary hosts, where they do a lot of their, instead of living in the soil, they live in the tissues of the plant. Yeah. This is ergot, which is a fungus that infects wheat, can ruin a harvest. It also has hallucinogenic. Hallucinogenic properties. This is sometimes when they have outbreaks of craziness in Europe that are documented. Also, usually can be traced back to where the fungus was. Now, if you've ever gone out and found what looks like people splattering paint on rocks, you ever seen this? These are what are called lichen, not lichen, lichen. And what this is actually two species, completely different, living together. So the fungus part is this fleshy that you see, right? And some even have fruiting bodies, mushroom-like things here. The color comes from an algae. It comes from a single cell algae, protease. And they're completely unrelated, but now are intimately associated with each other because neither can live without the other, even though they're completely. So this is like, this is when we talk about what is a species, right? These are two completely different related organisms that are completely dependent upon each other. Symbiosis, you've heard of that before? They live together, they have to live together. They are called obligate symbionts, which means they cannot live without each other. So these would be good wedding gifts, right?
Hey, what?
You give them a lichen.
Who's my brother with them?
Yeah.
So are those the types that are on plants or resemble?
They are not on plants. Good question. Usually see these growing in weird places where plants can't grow. Because they're not plants, but they have chloroplasts that they're using from the algae. So they can grow on rock surfaces. They can dry out. When it rains again, then they start going again. And so the fleshy part, as I said, this is not living off of the plant. It's not a parasite. It's just using it to gain access to sunlight. Did you have a question?
Yeah, like on roofs, what is that?
Those could be mosses. You'll be able to tell. We'll look at a lot of this on our field trip. So you can go out in the woods and see that, in the mountains, they live in high elevations. They're usually a good indicator as well of a healthy environment, because they are very sensitive, right? You have two organisms living together. Conditions have to be right for both of them. This is the base of a plant, and this is all lichen. And it is not hurting the plant, it's just on the bark. Yeah.
So I have a question. So they use the chloroplast of the protease, or do they? Okay,
Yeah.
so they don't like mistletoe siphon it from the trees right
No.
they're attached to.
No, they're not. It is not a parasite completely. They're just using the plants for access to the sun. Right? Or a lot of times that's why you see them in clear areas where the sun is not being blocked. Yeah.
One other question is, oftentimes whenever I used to clean these off of my trees, I mean, that's probably now hindsight not so nice, but when they're really dry, is that like they're dead, or is it they're just naturally dry?
It depends on the species.
Okay.
A lot of them can survive long periods of being dry, but typically, like the specimens I have today, those are dead.
Okay.
You can't revive them. Although I own them. So this often gets mistaken as moss, but these are wolf lichen. We'll see a lot of this on our field trip. This is a lichen, foliose lichen. These are mosses right here. When we do mosses, you'll be able to tell the difference. So moss is actually a plant. It's a really small, non-vascular plant. This is the fungus, and then the green are the microscopic algae that live on it. You also, if you ever go to the desert, what you have a lot of times that are called microbiotic crusts. And so you have this small layer of algae that live up above, mixed with fungus, but these are not like, they're just living here in this green. This is lichen, and so you might think, well, how do they reproduce if they're two organisms? Well, they reproduce asexually mostly. What you have here are the mycelium from the fungus that's growing in the body, right? You see that? And then on the surface where of course, these are clustered near the top because that's where the sun is. And then the mycelium wrap themselves around the algae, and then they disperse that way. So here's mycelium that are wrapped around the algae. Yeah.
So is the mycelium like the surface skin, or is that just the general name for the?
Mycelium. So we opened this lecture.
Sorry.
These are hyphae. That's okay. These are hyphae. So all fungus don't have bodies. This is a good review. They exist as threads. The single-celled microscopic threads are called hyphae. And that's where they do their digesting, right? Because they can put out powerful digestive enzymes. They're living They're growing and living whatever they're eating. Perfect form for them. And then bundles of hyphae are called mycelium. And those are visible by the eye. You can see mycelium. It's really neat when you think of fungus, right? They don't have organs. They don't even have a body. There's just these threads that come out and eat whatever they're in. Someone needs to do a fungus. They've had fungus movies, haven't they? Horror movies?
Yeah.
Um, they did it like in The Last of Us, but it was a terrible adaptation of the game. But
Now, remember, fungus are in the soil, of course, right? Now, what if plants are in the soil? Their roots. And so we're finding out there's a lot of relationships between plants and fungi that are beneficial to both. Remember, this is already going on in, it's kind of a larger multicellular version of the symbiosis between the lichens, right? So these are especially pine species, conifers. A lot of them do way better in soil that has species of fungus in it. So these are seedlings grown without the fungus, these are seedlings grown with the fungus. And typically what happens a lot is the fungi are really good at breaking down nutrients that are accessible by the roots, right? Instead of big pieces of stuff, they'll break it down and then make it again. And a lot of times the roots as well can retain moisture better for the fungus. And so they're not obligate, they just do better with each other. And they're also not like mutually trying to help each other. It just works that way really well.
so, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's not like the plants in the beginning in like test one where they connect and they make little like lysosome nodes or whatever they were called. They just naturally friendly to each other, to one another.
They're just beneficial to each other.
And just one other clarification, the conifers, they give back in a way to the fungi, or is it like commensalism where it's just one way help?
Well, no, it's usually like they can make moisture more available to them.
That makes
Right?
sense.
And there's some other things too. Some of them, you know, they can benefit from chemicals that are released. There's a lot to learn about that relationship. Some have, plants have fungi that they allow to live in them, endosymbionts. And typically though, they're ectosymbionts. This is once again a conifer seedling. And here you can see the fungal growth all around it that benefits it. Here's another root system. And we'll be looking this up. I think we have this in our lab today, where you're going to look at a cross section of a root that has the endosymbionts in the root structure, where they're actually living inside of it. But once again, mutually benefiting. A lot of plants too will protect the fungus, you know, from other things out there, maybe bacteria. All right, well, let's start lab at 2:05. Okay?
Okay.